What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are back with another Detroit Lions video, of course, and we are back to take a look at this Lions 31-26 win over the Chicago Bears in shortened form. So let's get it started. Welcome everybody to the video. Glad you guys are here. And yes, man, we are back with another recap video. And today we're going to be diving into the key plays from this Lions-Bears game. Now, usually each week we like to do an all-22 look at it. Offense, defense. Sometimes we don't get to both sides of the ball just because of how the week goes like last week. But that's usually what we do. However, this week we're going to do a shortened version of that. It's Monday and the Lions play on Thursday. They also play on Thursday early. So because of that, I think we have to knock this out as soon as possible. Let's get in, let's get out. And we don't have the all-22 version as of the time that I went through, recorded this, took my notes. So instead, we're kind of using like the broadcast version, but they're going to be like short clips that I'm going to show as I'm talking. That way, hey, copyright. Still going to want to recap this game, some of the key plays from this game, and some of the little things that stand out that you don't really see when you're watching the game live. So that's the plan for this video. Hang with me. There's going to be a lot of plays in here, but it's going to be like a shortened version because we don't have the all-22. We're not going to dive into every specific detail, but maybe some things that you missed when watching it back. And in doing this, we're also going to point out some of the things that stood out to me overall in this game, player or maybe something schematically that stood out to me when watching this thing back. So let's waste no time. Let's get into it. Here are my takeaways, my notes. I'm going to be doing a lot of bouncing around in this video between offense and defense, so just stick with me as we go through this. We're first going to start off on the defensive side of the ball. We're going to be taking a look at good plays, bad plays, and all of the in-between. Again, just things that stuck out to me when watching this game back. We start on the defensive side of the ball here, and I thought there was some breakdowns, right? We see all these chunk plays that are given up by the defense, and I give credit to Chicago for this. How multiple they are in the run game, as well as all the moving parts that they have offensively, the rollouts, the bootlegs, when they're able to stay on schedule, they're not getting caught in third down situations, they're also not playing from behind, can really keep everything alive offensively. That is when they are very difficult offensively, and I think you get things like this. This first play where you see Derek Barnes, he looks kind of lost on this play. You can see the wide receiver beneath. The Lions are going into what looks like a cover one defense. If I'm wrong on any of these coverages, that's my apologies. I can't see the entire field, so I'm just doing my best with what I can see. Looks like the Lions are manned up in a cover one single high look here defensively, and you get a scramble here by Justin Fields, but Cam Sutton is working around to cover this beneath route by the receiver, who essentially stays in the block, and because of that, you see Derek Barnes. I don't really know where he's going on this play, giving much attention to Justin Fields, and it seems like he doesn't actually have a responsibility. He's not actually manned up on anybody on this play. Because of that, it leads to a Justin Fields scramble, and he ends up picking a little bit of a chunk. Continuing on the defensive side of the ball, here's the touchdown that they scored. Now, this was set up by a Will Harris pass interference, which I thought was just a pretty awful call, but I'm not going to go into that. Let's take a look at the touchdown here. They probably would have scored regardless because of how close they were to the goal line, but on this touchdown run, you can see on the right side on the top of the screen here, between Brian Branch and Cam Sutton, two guys essentially are covering one here. You can see Jack Campbell is over the tight end on display, and because of that, no one actually steps in to handle the run on this play. They're both dealing with the receiver. Because of that, you can see it leads to an open lane for the running back to cut back into and walk into the end zone. Now, we flip around to the offensive side of the ball, and Jared Goff, of course, had 3 interceptions in this game. What was the most interesting thing to me about these 3 interceptions is that they all took place in cover 3 looks defensively. Now, here is the thing coming into this, and I'm sure I'll bring this up as well as we continue to go through this. What makes this defense difficult to me are 2 things. Number 1, the way that the safeties hide coverage. They like to roll safeties, like a lot of teams do, but they do a really nice job of hiding coverage with depth, meaning that they don't give away if they're going to be jumping into the flat or staying at a deeper alignment until the route break happens and they need to get out there. And the reason they're able to do that is because their linebackers play with a lot of depth as well. They're very good in zone coverage, as we learned in this game, and they're aggressive, they're fast to close. It makes them very tough, especially with Edmonds, who is back on the field, tied along with their ability to blitz as linebackers. But in this case here, it's just a simple cover 3 look defensively, not getting a blitz here, yet you get the interception. Now, this one, I'm not putting it on Goff. You can if you want, but I'm not. All right, we run a slant here with Sam Laporta. The safety is rolling down, not to man up the back, but to get into the flat here, and because of that, he runs into Sam Laporta on the play. It's beyond 5 yards. From what I could tell, the ball was out by the time he threw it. Maybe it wasn't. Regardless, to me, this should have been a flag. With all the things that we were getting flagged for, should have been flagged flag wasn't, leads to an interception. Okay, that's fine. Let's keep it on the offensive side of the ball here, because the defense, of course, they made some clutch plays, like the forced fumble by Cam Sutton to give us the ball back. They did a really nice job, as we talked about yesterday, at, for the most part, getting us off the field, outside of really the Jerry Jacobs big play that they gave up, which is a tough matchup, and he kind of seemed to slow up a little bit late on that play. Separation happened between him and DJ Moore, stepped up to the pocket, delivered a really good throw. It looked like we had one deep safety on that play as well, trying to get some help towards the inside area, and we weren't able to get there, and they pick up the big touchdown. But the second interception, we take a look, another cover 3 look. You can see the safeties rolling down into the flat from the safety alignment. But again, here's where I talk about the depth becoming an issue. As you notice, the safety is going to wait to dive on the out route here, okay? Before he dives to take away this little out route, he's going to wait to dive until that route break actually takes place. Tied along with that, you can see the linebacker depth. Second thing you notice is Tremaine Edmunds, the depth that he has. The depth that Tremaine Edmunds is playing with here underneath in zone coverage to basically stand in front of Donovan Peoples-Jones, who is going to break off this little dig route, but he's trying to get hot behind the linebacker. When you look at the timing of the progression here, seemingly that number 2 was to come back and hit the dig route. After the out route's not there, come back and hit number 2. But because of the depth that Edmunds was getting, Donovan Peoples-Jones had to keep getting more and more depth to get behind the linebacker. That way they could set up the hitch and then the dig to pull the linebacker down. But with him continuing to get depth, Donovan Peoples-Jones decided not to cross his face. And I think because of that, when Goff came back to number 2, then he saw the linebacker sitting, so he had to try to fake the hitch before he could go back to the dig. And I think that's where the bad decision came in. He probably should have just said, I'm going to throw this to Malcolm Rodriguez, even if you just want to basically throw it away, just because the timing was thrown off on this play. But because he tried to force it back, even though he moved the linebacker, the backside linebacker that had no responsibility now because the out was away from him, he just floated into that zone hole. The Lions, actually, I'll give them credit. They did a nice job of setting this up, something that I anticipated. I think a lot of things we talked about in the preview actually happened in this game, but they did a nice job defensively in terms of the depth that they played with. And while the Lions tried to set up some of those, kind of stacked routes in terms of they would have something underneath and they'd run something right behind it, they tried to set some of those up. Their linebackers played a lot of it really well. And here would be an example. Looks like he probably shouldn't have forced this. Malcolm Rodriguez runs this little hitch route, which is, again, where they're going to try to pull down a backer and throw the dig route right behind it. And you can see Goff, while he looks back to the dig initially, sees that it's not there, a linebacker sitting there, comes back to this little hitch route that they're trying to set up to pull the linebacker and allow them to hit the second level throw. But the issue here is Jared Goff decides not to pull the trigger to Malcolm Rodriguez. Maybe he didn't have trust in throwing that pass to Rodriguez. If anything, it was probably more of a decoy. To me, yes, he could have thrown this underneath route, decided not to. Now, that was okay because he gave a little pump fake and then pulled the linebacker down so he could throw that second level throw. The issue was the other off-ball zone linebacker who's playing in underneath coverage that initially had the tight end releasing vertically, but then when it got towards the outside and the safety dove down to take it, he started to cheat back over to the middle. And that's where I think Goff made a bad decision. He pulled the linebacker down to forget about that other linebacker that started to kind of float in his passing lane, and he picked it off. So that was really the issue that stuck out there. I think that was a bad decision to try to hit that dig route and not just take what was there. So that was the second interception. Now, back to the defensive side of the ball. This was a wow play to me by Brian Branch, and I just want to showcase this. They're going to try to set up a quarterback pin pull here with their blockers. So the receivers try to dive down, pin, set up the offensive tackle to pull to the outside and allow the quarterback, Justin Fields, to get out on a sweep. But Brian Branch's ability here to avoid the pin down block, slide to the outside, fight through traffic, and get in on this tackle. Brian Branch was an animal against the run today. And this is one of those plays to me that kind of went right over my head. Didn't even notice it when watching it live, but I need to showcase this, so I wanted to right here. Now, continuing with Brian Branch going crazy in this game, he did have two defensive plays. One I thought was pretty bad. The other one I couldn't really tell just because I couldn't see it back when watching it back outside of the replays. But this was a beautiful coverage look. So again, his flexibility has given us the ability to put him as a safety, to take a safety off the field, align him as a safety if we want to put more bodies to defend the run. And in this case, you can see the Lions are going to go to what looks like a cover 2 blitz here. So they have one less underneath defender. Another thing that we anticipated coming into this game against Chicago, we did the same thing last year. One less underneath defender. But also, Brian Branch has had a safety alignment. His ability to go from a safety alignment, dive down, outbreaking route from DJ Moore, nearly come up with interception, but does come up with the pass breakup. Again, now he's showing you the flexibility not only to make an impact in the run game, but also from coverage as well. Continuing with the defensive side of the ball, Alex Anzalone was really good in coverage. We played a lot of man coverage on third down, and here you can see, I love the depth here. We're going into a man coverage look, and the depth between Alex Anzalone to not, deal with kind of a rub route here underneath, on top of Alim McNeill getting pressure. If there is one thing, Alim McNeill, from time to time, did a pretty nice job, I think, of filling his gap, and from time to time he was unable to get off the block, and that led to a lot of their cutback rush success. Not just Alim McNeill, but multiple players in the interior. But one thing that Alim McNeill definitely showed up in was getting pressure from the interior, and I have to give him his credit. He had a sack, here he gets some pressure. Alim McNeill did a pretty nice job of getting pressure seemingly from the interior. All right, let's flip it back to the offensive side of the ball. Now here you can see again, another cover 3 look defensively. Here's that cover 3 sky look, safety rolls down into the flat. Now this, I like how they set this up. Lions go empty on the play, and you're going to see they're going to run 2 hitches to spread both of their linebackers out underneath. So now Goff, as he looks to the first look into the flat, doesn't like it, can come back to the middle of the field. Jamison breaks in front of the safety. Goff puts it out there, makes a good catch while taking the hit, and it turned into a first down for the Lions. Continuing with some of the good playing calling here before halftime, on the play before this, the Chicago Bears decided to bring a linebacker blitz. Again, another thing that we talked about was cover 3 blitz. What do we say in the preview video? If you watched it, you know, when Chicago plays cover 3, they like to blitz out of it. That's what they were doing. So the first time we saw it with the linebacker, second time it actually worked out perfectly because the linebacker to that side, who would have been an underneath zone defender, also blitzed, so they had nobody on that side of the field when the receiver went vertical, Jamison, and set up a block. He kind of lost his block, and that's where Jahmyr Gibbs was kind of chopped down at the 10-yard line. But still on this play, love the play call, set up a screen, linebackers are blitzing, they're playing cover 3, they lose their underneath defender, and you pick up a huge chunk there with Jahmyr Gibbs. Then you punch it into the end zone with something that they love to do in the red zone, which we talked about as well, is zone coverage. Here they go into that cover 2 red zone, red 2 look defensively, and you can see Jared Goff, good decision here, holds Kyler Gordon on the play, comes back to St. Brown, down and away. St. Brown had 2 grabs like this that were incredible. The other one they called incomplete, but this was a great touchdown grab right beside the linebacker, and the Lions win into half with a lead. Another beautiful play there. I want to give some more love here. How about Penei Sewell? Now, he had a couple blocks that he lost in pass protection, but this run blocking ability was insane, and this one in particular was on Montez Sweat. You can see he gets some help from the tight end on this play, but look at the drive he is getting on Montez Sweat into the second level. A 20-yard chunk here for David Montgomery. This is another wow play for me. Had to give Penei Sewell some love here. Now, continuing, what happened on this 3rd down and 2 play? Yesterday, I thought it was a key play. We tried to throw. You could have argued we should run the football with how we were running on this possession. Lions decided to try to throw the football here. Didn't work out well, and that was really set up by the defense. Give them credit. Again, here's where they posed some problems for us. They also did this in the run game as well, where a linebacker rolled down late to the edge position. Kind of think back to the Chargers game where they did the same thing with Derwin James. He hid whether or not he was going to dive down, and because of that, he shut down a run play. Here, kind of shut down our 3rd and 2 play. The Lions are going to try to set up a rub route to get a wheel route open to Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, we've done this design many times in the past against man coverage, but as you notice, because Sanborn blitzes on, going to roll into coverage. Because of that, he's able to get over top of the pick play, take away the running back, comes back to the wheel route, sets to throw. The rub route does not happen. That's taken away. Now the linebacker is free. They get Sanborn free. They pick up the sack. In the 3rd and 2, we have to punt, and that drive was halted. But I give them actually a lot of credit for what they did there defensively on that play. Now, flip back to our defense. Here's what I was talking about. You see Alim McNeill loses the gap for the cutback run here. It sets up a big run. I thought at the end of the game, the Lions really dug in and said, hey, we're not going to allow this run stuff to happen. They dug in, they put their cleats in, and we're going to show that. But before that, I have to set the tone. I have to set what was going on. You can see John Kaminsky here being pushed back by the tight end. Again, picking up a nice little chunk, rushing the football here. Now, also, Brian Branch. This could have been a blitz from Brian Branch, but I do want to point out that Brian Branch, who was shutting down these plays, he was being aggressive like this even when he wasn't blitzing. There were examples where he would dive into the backfield first before releasing out into the underneath zone, just if he was in zone coverage to shut down some of these runs. Again, Brian Branch was a menace against the run. Now, this could have been more of a pure blitz here because we were bringing some slot blitzes, but again, still an excellent tackle, jumps it, makes a tackle for loss, backs up the offense, is exactly where we want to have them. Now, again, another big run, and it was little things like this to me. Here you can see Brian Branch, he essentially fills the same lane as Quinton Bohanna as he crosses the face of the offensive lineman. Center then gets up to the second level, picks up, well, he doesn't actually pick up the block. Jack Campbell avoids it, but able to get over and make the tackle. He had a couple of missed tackles in this game. I thought some of that came from kind of how he set himself up. But with that being said, you can see Brian Branch, as he ends up filling the same gap as Quinton Bohanna. So we end up losing a run gap defensively, and that's what's able to springboard this run into the second level. This is something that they did a pretty nice job of, which was getting Josh Paschal in the mix here on this read option. I thought Josh Paschal actually made some really good play for us in this game. There's just the occasion of getting out on an island with Justin Fields is a very tough matchup, and this was an example of that here for Josh Paschal. All right, now let's flip back to the offense side of the ball because I want to show a little bit more of the run blocking here. How about this power run? Again, Penei Sewell here on Dexter, Gervin Dexter, who is a big defensive lineman. Look at the drive that he is getting here to set up this power run to Jahmyr Gibbs that has some success here. Penei Sewell, again, excellent movement. Here's what I was talking about the late linebacker movement that led to issues. Here, for example, the Lions are going to try to set up a stretch run. They're going to utilize their tight end to lead block. We've seen this many times this year, pointed this out many times. But if you notice, you see how the linebacker late on this play is going to roll to the edge. That sets up the issue here with Penei Sewell. That forces the cutback and limits this run on the play. So again, that late linebacker movement at times caused some issues for us. And then again, the final interception. Again, a cover 3 look by them defensively. Now, I'm really setting the table here for the final 2 drives where I thought Jared Goff was incredible watching it back. I'm watching it back like, yo, the decision making was insane. However, here, the third and final interception, you can see what they were trying to set up. Again, try to set up the hitch route and then run the dig right behind it with Josh Reynolds. But as you notice on this play, Jared Goff is trying to look off, hold the linebacker, and throw. But the ball gets tipped on this play. It would have been a tight window regardless, but you could see what he was looking for. Ball gets tipped, and because the ball gets tipped, it leads to the interception by the guy that dove underneath to take away the hitch route. So that was the third interception. Again, it was a tip, so I think it would have been a tight window, but also at the same time, the tip is what kind of threw everything off on this play. Back to the defense side of the ball. Again, I'll give Chicago credit for this, but I'll also say, want to talk about digging your cleats in and saying this is not going to happen? Lions did that, but I wanted to set the table. Notice Chicago here on a 3rd and 5 is going to a run play. 3rd and 5, they decide to run the football. They were trying to rush against our pass rush package. Kaminsky was in there, so you get some more of your pass rushers, right? And because of that, they were able to have some success rushing. Here, I thought Alex Anzalone was late to spill to the outside and fill this run gap, and they're able to pick up just enough as he kind of just runs over Cam Sutton on this play. But what I loved about this is that later in the game, we had a 3rd and 7, and the Lions put their pass rush package on the field, and they decided to run the football. They only picked up 2 yards. That was not with your normal interior defensive lineman. That was Tracy Walker stepping in like a linebacker and laying a big hit. That was an incredible effort by the Lions defense, but this is something that Chicago was utilizing to get some success, but also I think some of that was their lack of trust throwing the ball when they knew they had to throw the football. So it was a nice little counter by them, but it didn't continue to work. Also, this little thing. This is just little, but I want to point it out. Chicago tried a QB sneak here. Why am I pointing this out? Because the Lions stopped it. I'm not saying that this would work against Philly, right? Obviously, that's the play that everybody's like, oh, should they keep that in the game? Should they not? I'm just pointing this out because the Lions did stop a quarterback sneak. And this could be something that, who knows? We could look back later in the year and say, man, that play against Chicago may have showed us something. You see how low the Lions defensive lineman got here? They won the leverage battle. They stopped the quarterback sneak. I'm just saying, I think it's worth pointing out. Lions got to stop here. Again, here would be another example where he lost the cutback lane. You can see Benito Jones, who's in the 3 technique here. He loses the cutback. That, again, leads to the big run. So a lot of it actually wasn't the front side. It was the cutback runs that were happening where we maybe, even if we filled our lane correctly, we were unable to get off the block just by a little bit, and they were able to pick up a chunk because of that. Again, here was some of the confusion I thought at times from the linebacker position. I don't hate what Jack Campbell was thinking here. I think I know what he was thinking here, but it led to a quarterback scramble. Now, he made a really good open field tackle, but he probably could have limited this more than we did on this play. Maybe just doing a little bit too much and not just playing his role. That's kind of the vibe that I get here, but I understood it. You can see the Lions seemingly are going into another cover 3 look here defensively, but if you notice, Derek Barnes, who is dealing with the tight end who chips, and then he's going to release into the flat here, Derek Barnes seemingly is not rushing the quarterback. He is responsible to play the flat. They're allowing him to drop into coverage. But because of that, if you notice, Derek Barnes kind of stumbles on this play. Jack Campbell then, with the rollout, decides to try to help over top on this little flat route. And because of that, instead of diving on the quarterback and taking that away, he tries to help out because he thinks maybe Derek Barnes is going to fall down and that's going to be open. Leads to still a 5-yard scramble that maybe could have turned to a negative or been limited if he was aggressive to just take the quarterback away, because Barnes ultimately stayed on his feet and kind of took this route away. Kind of what I just pointed out here with unable to really make the play sometimes, even if we filled our gap. This what happened here to me. Lee McNeil, he gets kind of stuck on the block. He fills the lane on this 3rd and 1, but you notice he's unable to get off the block entirely. There also was no holding call as well, and because of that, the 3rd and 1, they pick it up. And then finally, this will be another example, and I'm really just trying to lay the table, set the table here for what's about to happen on this final drive that the Lions get a defensive stop. They run the quarterback read on this play. Notice what happens with Josh Paschal specifically. Derek Barnes loses the edge. They pick up 4 yards. yards because he gave himself up, so it's only a 4-yard gain. It's not crazy, but if you notice here with Josh Paschal, you see how Josh Paschal peeks inside for the running back? He fills, but he's a little bit high on this play, starts to peek inside. Once he does that, now Derek Barnes has more real estate that he has to be responsible for. So because of that, Justin Fields gets to the edge. Now all of a sudden it's a 4-yard pickup instead of, again, a minimal pickup by the offense. And it can come back to those little things. But here's where the Lions turn it on, and I give them so much credit. I talked about Goff's mental toughness yesterday. I got to give the defense some flowers as well for the mental toughness that they showed to just put their head down and say, look, we're going to give you the football back. But we'll start with the offense first because Jared Goff was letting that thing rip. Here's the first play. 3rd down and 2. He throws it to Amon-Ra St. Brown here. Again, look at the decisiveness. You can see Frank Ragnow's getting pushed back into Jared Goff on this play. Reads the flat, sees the defender dive down to take that away, steps into a curl route, fires it between a couple defenders, and we pick up a big chunk. Now the drive starts to go. We talked about the depth that they play with. There was a reason that I took the over in this game. There was a reason that I said, and this may have been the only prop I actually hit, but I felt like Jahmyr Gibbs would go over in receiving yards is because of this. Like we said in the preview, specifically 2nd and long. What does Chicago do? They back off coverage, their linebackers get a lot of depth, and you can hit those checkdowns consistently, and I thought that's where Jahmyr Gibbs would be able to live. Now, for the Lions, not necessarily 2nd and long, but it's in passing situations. The defense is expecting pass. So, they're getting a lot of depth at their linebackers, as they were all game. It wasn't like this was like completely new. They had some interceptions. Their linebackers were getting a lot of depth, even in, from what looked like, not even just Tampa 2 looks, but quarters looks. That inside linebacker was getting a lot of depth. They were trying to take away the middle of the field chunks. That's understandable. But because of that, it was going to open up the running back. And that's when Jahmyr Gibbs came through for us. This is all about him after the catch. Same thing that we've seen many times. One step back, feels the linebacker Edmonds, sheds him off by getting skinny, but also keeping contact balance, and then races with that immediate burst towards the sideline, picks up the first, gets out of bounds, saves some clock. Incredible play there by Jahmyr Gibbs. Jameson Williams touchdown. Again, cover 3 defensively. It had outside leverage, and because of that, as you notice, cornerback Jalen Johnson, he dives down on the out route. Jameson Williams going to push a corner route. He does not stay vertical with this corner route. All of a sudden, it opens up for Jared Goff, steps into it, delivers a good throw. We score a touchdown. Now it's on the defense. The defense dug their cleats in and said, we're giving you the football back. It was nothing special that they did. Now, yes, they kind of anticipated run, but watch these 2 reps here by the interior defense lineman. Watch the whole front on this. First play, notice on this play, Benito Jones. Wow. John Kaminsky working against the tight end. We showed them a couple plays getting pushed back. Not here. Benito Jones. That's a wow rep from the interior. John Kaminsky destroying the tight end on this play. Getting pushed back. Winning. Playing behind the line of scrimmage. That's first down. Nothing there. Second down. Notice again the interior. Ali McNeil. Benito Jones. Again. Watch them win. Dominate their blocks on the interior. Get a run stuff. Notice Aiden Hutchinson as well. Not playing around with this tight end here. They dug their cleats and said, you're not going to run the football to seal this deal. We're not letting that happen. They shut it down back-to-back plays. Then, on a 3rd and 9, of course, they had the incomplete vertical shot. It was close, but it was incomplete. Kirby Joseph was racing out there, actually got in a pretty good position. Offense gets the ball back, and this, to me, was a lot of David Montgomery being awesome, as well as Jared Goff making great decisions. First play, how about David Montgomery here, stepping in pass protection? I understand, it was an incomplete pass, but this could have been a sack. This could have been a sack if he does not pick up this pass rush. Montgomery, we said coming into this, who is going to be tested? Interior offensive linemen in terms of how they like to blitz, because of all the blitzes they also will bring from cover 3 looks, but also where they like to blitz, as well as running backs. Whoever was out there, if they're not running route, they would have to pick up and pass pro. Montgomery, here's a great example. Gibbs gave you some of these examples as well. So I just want to point out the pass pro there. It's an incomplete pass, but it stops the clock. It also sets up, great play calling by the way, take a shot, come back, we could still run the ball before the 2-minute warning. David Montgomery, look at the cutback here. Again, beautiful read. We get a blown block on the right side, sticks his foot in the ground, cuts back upfield, picks up the first down, takes us into the 2-minute warning. Like what I said, looks like they're going into a quarters look, but notice how much depth their linebackers getting. They're saying, we're not going to give you the middle field routes. Okay, take the check down. That's good decision making by Goff. I know everybody say, oh, push the ball. No, don't push the ball there. You take what they're giving you because of the time, the situation. You don't need to. Everybody's dropping back. The linebackers getting a ton of depth. Take what's there. That's what he does here to Jahmyr Gibbs. Continuing on, their cover 3 look. Notice they're bringing a cover 3 blitz this time, and notice with Jahmyr Gibbs this time. Steps in, picks up in pass protection. We end up hitting an out route to Sam Laporta. Continuing, this was probably my favorite throw of the game by Jared Goff. Not because it was a beautiful throw, but because of how he got the ball off here. Underneath, we have some crossing routes happening. Dave Montgomery sits down. Look at Jared Goff. I don't even know how he got this off. You got a missed block here from Graham Glasgow. Steps up, acrobatic throw to just get this ball off to David Montgomery to, again, I believe, pick up a first down on this play. Continuing on. Now it's about punching it into the end zone. Goff, he was dialed in. Watch him here. Hold this linebacker. Come back to St. Brown. Beautiful catch by St. Brown. Scoops it off the turf. And then this. Another throwaway, but this was key by Goff. It was a key play, even bigger than I emphasized yesterday. They get a free rusher here on this little game that they're going to run here on the left side of the offensive line. Because of that, Jared Goff is able to escape the pocket and throw this thing away. If this turns into a sack, that thing changes the game because we lose our timeout. Obviously, the clock would run otherwise. We're backed up. The run game is no longer an option. That changes everything if Goff does not get out of the pocket, throw this away, make a veteran play, and keep the game going. Because he got out of the pocket, escaped, threw this thing away, the run game was still in play, and that ultimately is what punched this thing in there. We were able to keep the run game alive. We handed off. Offensive line gets terrific movement again. Also, I love the fact that we gave it to Gibbs, because as soon as Gibbs comes in, you're all thinking, well, obviously Gibbs is going to run a route. Nope, he's going to get the ball. You want to play too deep? You want to play your zone coverage? Great, we'll give it to him. Offensive lineman is getting movement. He'll punch it down to the one, and then David Montgomery is going to seal the deal for us because this was his game and because he had an incredible drive. That Montgomery last drive, the way that Goff locked in, some of the throws that he was making after a rough day overall. Give credit to Chicago, the depth that they were playing with, the way that they can hide coverage in the back end. They did some really good things, and it was tricky, and they made some good plays, and they were prepped for what we wanted to do. Give them credit. Also, defensively, the way they dug in. I don't hate the Lions' plan overall defensively, but it's the little things. When a team is this multiple, when a team is this dynamic rushing the football, the little things can kill you, and that's what happened a lot of times on the chunks here. I think we need some more consistency, but there were plays that I showed that was good for the linebacker position. Alex Anzalone, going from an A-gap to sliding around to stop a quarterback read, which set up the sneak, which they did not convert. That was an awesome play. Jack Campbell and Justin Fields between the tackle box when he pulled it down to take a run. They were trying to set up an outside run for the running back. Fields pulls it down. Jack Campbell plays multiple run lanes, steps in, makes a big-time tackle to limit that run. So the linebackers were making some big-time plays, but it's just the little things that can lead to big plays against a team that's that dynamic and that explosive rushing the football.
Now, the downside of this is it kind of reminded me of the Baltimore games with some of the breakdowns or being a step slow, certain things like that. It wasn't as bad as the Baltimore game. There's also, I think, more plays made on linebacker position. It was small things in this one, but some of the things did remind me of that game. The positive is Jack Campbell at off-ball linebacker. I'm confident with continuing to get reps there. He'll continue to dial it in. I think as this year goes on, he's a guy that really circled for someone that we need to grow, but at the same time, he'll be able to leaning into that position and not playing on the line.
But overall, when it counted most, offense came through, defense came through, and they found a way to get it done. And I just wanted to showcase some of that in today's video. I thought this was just so fun to watch back. A lot of ups, a lot of downs, but it's all about the W at the end. With that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you, Prop, for watching, and I'm out.